What's up, folks? This is your boy DT 2.0, and today I have the Alienware M17 R4 consumer review. And here it is, big as fuck in all its glory. The infamous and rare Alienware M17 R4. I waited a few weeks to get this and I finally got one. So I hope y'all enjoyed the unboxing as much as I did because I was excited as fuck. And I definitely have been surprised with the performance so far, and which we'll get into later. But to give you a little history, I ordered this on the 2nd of February and it started getting built that same day. So it went into production that same day. Now, I don't know how long it takes to put a laptop together because I don't know what they do over there. But after about 3 days, it started to get concerned. So, and the status didn't change. So I went on ahead and logged in and then tried to chat with the customer service. That's when the rep told me it was already built and she would push it to get shipped. It was shipped the next day, and I finally got it on the 16th. So it shipped on the 8th, and I got it on the 15th, but I missed the UPS guy, and I was just sitting in the house. I didn't hear his fucking knock because I was in my bedroom, and I had to wait until the next day to pick it up. So it really came in a week. But for reference, the estimated date of arrival was the 23rd when I first ordered it. So the rep told me when I was chatting with her, they just put that there as a marker. Now, with all the weather that's going on across the United States, especially with the snow up north and then in Texas and all that, prayers for all those folks. Your mileage may vary. You may get it earlier, but I think I got mine just in time. I think I ordered it early enough before the hoopla. So let's get into it. Now, quick spec rundown on this one. I didn't change anything specific about it except for I always go in and pay the extra $30 for the per key lighted keyboard or RGB keyboard. But this has a Core i7-10887, 8-core Intel Core i7 processor, 32 gigabytes of RAM. Now the RAM in this one is in this year's model is a little bit faster than the RAM of last year's model. You see my M15 sitting right there. That RAM in that model was the 2666 megahertz or hertz. And this one is 2933. So you get a little bit more performance, a little bit better performance, and we'll see if that matters later on in the review. 1 terabyte SSD. I've already installed my extra SSD that was sitting in my M15 because that's where I keep all my games. So when I moved it from the M15 to the M17, all my games were already installed. So I didn't have to re-download them. RTX 3070. No Max Q. No super, just 3070, and I'm really liking the naming convention. It makes it real easy and simple for me to realize which one or me to recognize which one instead of guessing. Because sometimes websites like Best Buy and all that, they don't necessarily put exactly what it is, and then you have to do a little bit more research. But this one, just 3070. Surprisingly, I went with not surprisingly, because I think if you watch any of my reviews, I am partial to 4K displays. This one is the 4K LED display, or LED LCD display. Now, the one on my M15 is an OLED display. This one is an LED. Still 100% Adobe RGB, 60 hertz, still 60 hertz. But the big difference is two things. This one is a 25 millisecond response time versus 1 millisecond on OLED, obviously, because it's faster. And number two, where Advantage M17 is, this is a 500 nit screen, where the OLED is just over 400 nits. And I'm telling you, there's a difference. There's a difference in whites, and then there's a difference in brights, just like when you fucking do your laundry. Anyway, like I said, I paid extra for the per key keyboard. After taxes and shipping and all that, just over $2,700 for this computer. It is what it is. You guys know me, I like technology. And I had to get it. Now, if I like it, obviously I'll sell my M15. I won't keep 9 computers in here. And as you can see, my GE66 is still sitting there. I'm still deciding on whether I'm going to keep that or not, or sell it or give it away as a birthday or Christmas present. Motherfuckers will be happy as hell. But anyway, y'all know the routine. This is a consumer review. So if you're looking for an in-depth technical review, it ain't happening here. I'm doing something different this time, and you'll see at the end. But I'm just giving you my perspective or opinion from the consumer, me, who may or may not be experienced with dealing with computers. With that, I'll give you my loves, my likes, my dislikes, and my concerns. And then at the back end, I'll give you my recommendation. I'm never going to tell you how to spend your money, but I'll give you my recommendation on what I think if I would buy this again, if I had to do it all over again, knowing what I know about it. So is this a keeper or is it going back? Let's find out. Now, right off the bat, you notice the size. And when I first pulled it out the box, I was like, damn, this motherfucker big. But after playing with it for a few days and looking at the M15, M15 looks like a tablet compared to a full-size laptop, to be honest with you. And I'm not shitting on the M15. The M15 is the shit. I'm telling you, you won't be mad if you got one of those. But I wanted to be different this time and get something different. So looking at it, it's still slim and trim. It's still same color, still same design. Around the right side, or I'm sorry, the left side, you have your Ethernet port, USB-A, and a headset mic combo jack. In the back, you have the HDMI, your mini display port, your Thunderbolt port or USB-C port, your graphics amplifier, I don't know why I put that shit on there, and your power jack. And then on the right side, as you can see, my mouse dongle is still in there for my, you know, I gotta have it matching. You have 2 more USB-A ports and a micro SD card slot. And that's it, right? You have some vents on the side, you have some venting in the back, and of course, excuse me while I bang this motherfucker around because it's big as hell. You have some venting at the bottom, and everybody knows I really like the design of these. They're designed like spaceships, so I ain't mad at them for not changing the design because I was highly favorable of the one last year, and this year I see no difference. Now, the color, we'll get into that later, but that's your specs. Now, on to my loves. Love number one, and it was my love number one last time, the 4K goodness, right? It's crisp, it's clear, it's surprisingly bright, it's vivid with the saturation that I like at 100% Adobe RGB. I don't do photo work, but I'm pretty sure and pretty confident if I did, this would be the one to use. There is some backlight bleed, and I'll show you that later, but other than that, it doesn't really bother me. Good thing in this version is I don't have to be concerned with burn-in. So, you know, with the M15, for example, the taskbar was already set to auto hide when I first started it up, because, you know, Dell already knew, or Alienware already knew, that if a person forgot at some point or other, if you change the color of the bar at the bottom, it's going to have some burn-in after months and months and months of the same static image sitting in one spot. Well, this one, when I opened it, when I powered it up and set it up, it's already just not set to auto hide. So it's nothing I have to worry about. Now, I wasn't worried about that with the M15 because I don't keep static images other than the desktop, which I change every now and again. But I love the 4K display, and I think it makes even more sense on a 17-inch display vice a 15-inch display. But again, I'm not shitting on my M15 because I love it. I love it. And when I do a comparison video between the two, you'll see what I mean. But other than that, 4K goodness is my love number one. Love number two, and there's nothing to see here, to be honest with you. I'm not going to even lie to you. This fucking keyboard is the best in the business. Now, everybody got their, you know, their choice of who makes the best keyboard, but this is my opinion. My opinion is this keyboard is the best in the business. Same feel, same size, just added the number pad because it's a 17-inch. It's way miles ahead of MSI, miles ahead of Razer, fucking light years away ahead of Apple, but on par with the Lenovo keyboard, to be honest with you. I love typing on this thing. When I was typing up the script or my points for these reviews, I'm just typing away. I'm just typing away. I love it because the key travel is great. It's semi-deep, and it gives you that resistance to give you that confident feel. My bad. And I compare that to piano keys, right? Soft or synth action, semi-weighted or weighted. Everybody's choice is different. The RGB lighting, again, in this one, best in the business. I'm not going to even lie to you. Even when it's dark. But as you can see, I'm in a lighted room. I got light coming out from outside, and you can still see the letters and numbers clearly, and it's evenly spread throughout G14. And compared to the MSI over here, which in my opinion, and some folks are going to be mad because I'm talking about the MSI and their keyboard, right? Their shit compared to their lighting compared to this one, their shit looks like cheap fucking old school Christmas lights compared to this. I ain't gonna even lie to you. But anyway, that's my opinion. Keyboard, best in the business. That's my love number two. Love number three is the size. And I said this last year, or actually it was last year, with the M15, right? It's big, but it's not. It's thin, but it's not. A tad bit of ass in the back, which I don't mind, right? Matter of fact, a big wide ass in the back, but I think that's needed because I like the fact that there are connections back there, which keeps it neat if you place this thing on the desk. The only thing that I don't like about the design and the, well, not necessarily the size, but the design is they didn't put any USB-A ports in the back. Both of them are on the side. And a lot of the things that I connect to this, like my mouse dongle right here, they're seen. But again, I love the design of this one. I'm glad they didn't change it. I'm telling you, advantage here over the M15 with the 4K is it looks even better at this size. So the screen looks even better. Pound for pound, looking at each other, other than the blacks, same damn colors, same damn screen, better brightness on here, but better blacks over there. So I have to admit it that on the 17.3 inch, it makes a little bit more sense, right? It's not as dense as the M15, but it makes more sense here. I'm telling you, I don't, put it like this, I would connect my M15 to a TV every now and again. I don't think with this one I would have to connect it to a TV. Not at all. So size. And my final love, and I said it before, this Alienware is an acquired taste, and I love the looks of this, right? It's an Alienware, so what do you think, right? It looks like a spaceship. It's designed like a spaceship. It's in line with the brand, right? With the alien head and all that. You either love it or hate it. And I happen to love it, especially with that exhaust lighting in the back. They know what they put it like this. If you're a fucking avid gamer and you're good at what you do, right? When you roll up to the spot and you open up this fucking laptop and somebody's sitting behind you and they see them exhaust lights, you about to get in their ass. Now, I don't do that because I'm not good at some of these games, but I'm pretty sure if I practice enough, when I do, I'll be the first to let them know. Your ass about to get kicked. And I even change the lights to red to let them know that it's about to get medieval in here. But I love the lighting. I love the keyboard lighting. I love the lighting on the button, and especially the exhaust lighting in the back that makes this an Alienware. And the head, of course, right? I think they, in my opinion, I think Apple and Alienware way back in the day were the only ones putting, lighted symbols in the back of the display. But I think there's only a few companies that's doing it right now. So Alienware is staying true and not converting it to a piece of mirror-like metal. So I really like the fact that they just keep it that way. When you open this up, everybody knows what you're about and what you got. So it's free advertisement for them also. So anyway, I love the look. That was my final love. Now on to my likes. And this one is kind of, I like the color, and I got used to the color. Right, and my M15 was white, and I had to get it white, right? I like it. It's not for everybody, but it is for me, and I can take it, right? I can accept that because I hate for example, I hate my white Navy uniform. It looks good, right? It looks good when I have it on and I'm in the house, but I hate wearing it because I have to pay so much attention to where I sit, where I go. Don't put my hands in my pocket, which I shouldn't anyway, but not rub off or rub against anything when I'm getting in my car or anything like that. Even my fucking shoes are white. So by me doing that and being used to that, I'm a little bit more accepting of white, of things that are this color. Now, this is a little bit off-white in my opinion compared to just bright white, but I'm a little bit more accepting here, and that's maybe because of my experience. But your mileage may vary, right? I'm still confused and kind of pissed off as to why the fuck we can't get a 4K screen in the Dark Side of the Moon color. Dale, what the fuck is up with this? I said that months ago during my M15, and I was hoping, not praying, but hoping that it changed this year because somebody said something. Now I'm going to have to send them an email and ask them why. Because it has to be something. It has to be something, right? It can't be just because they want to force you to buy this because they know nobody will buy this color. If not, get rid of the shit. Just get rid of the shit. Every other laptop comes in a dark color. Alienware is the only one that really makes something that comes in white, and it's white through and through. But now, because it comes in white, I want the dark color, and now I don't have it because I have a 4K screen. The fuck, man. Anyway, that was my like number one. Like number two is the port selection. There's a bevy of them, right? 3 USB-A's, 1 USB-C, which happens to be a Thunderbolt, GE66, I'm looking at your ass, display port, micro SD card slot, headphone mic jack, graphics amplifier, which they could have did away with that shit because nobody's going to buy their proprietary shit. If you did, my bad, don't get in your feelings, but nobody's going to buy that when you can buy an external GPU and use a Thunderbolt port, right? Come on. But I'm glad they did. They didn't skimp me like the GE66 and not put a Thunderbolt port on here, so you can't have an option to do that, and you have to buy that graphics amplifier. So I'm glad they went with that. The only thing I would recommend, and why this is a like and not a love, is all your USB-A ports are on the sides. So if I wanted this to look neat on the desk, I would still have to have some shit coming out the side. Like there's only one USB-C combo in Thunderbolt, and it's in the back. But there's enough room if you take off that fucking graphics amplifier, and I'll turn it around. If this thing is a little bit unwieldy, but there's enough space back here to get rid of this shit and give me another USB-C. Don't have to be Thunderbolt, and give me another USB-A jack. Right? You got a big ass gap. Now, this is a missed opportunity and would have separated the M17 from the M15. Hey, spend the extra $300 or whatever it is by getting this because you have an extra slot here, or you have an extra slot on the side, or you have a full size SD card slot instead of a micro SD card slot. Something of that nature to separate it. In essence, these are the same damn computers, and the only difference is the fucking size and the fact that this screen is not OLED, it's LCD, which again puzzles me, but I'll leave it at that. But anyway, port selection is a like, not a love, because of that. Now on to my like number 3. Like number 3, I said it last year. Yeah, it was last year. Tobii. I like Tobii. I know if you've been watching the video, you've seen the screen go dim and then come up. That's because it's tracking my eyeballs. Whether I'm looking at the camera to make sure I'm still in focus, or I'm looking back at the computer, it's tracking that. I really love that. Right now, it makes more sense on the M15 to save your OLED display than it does here. But the fact that it can save some power if I'm on battery, that it will go dim when I'm not looking at it, I have to give that a thumbs up. So, at first I thought it was tacked on a novelty item because I did try it in games and I immediately didn't like it, right? If you didn't know, and I said it earlier, it tracks your eyes. And I didn't know my eyes move so much during gaming to where it looked like the screen was fucking glitching out because I would move the gamepad one way, but the screen would move the other way because it's tracking my eyes. So I was getting dizzy as fuck. So I turned that shit off and it ain't turned it on since. Like Tomb Raider has the option in there to turn it on and off. Right, it's cool, but I think games will have to take it into consideration and will have to be tuned to take full advantage of it. But I don't see with VR, I don't see any particular reason I would ever use Tobii, with the exception of using it for one, Microsoft Hello, which it's nice, and then two, to keep the screen from zapping the power if I'm not looking at it. But that's about it. So that's my like number 3, Tobii Eye Tracking software. And my last like, it's a like, it's also a missed opportunity, are the speakers, right? Let me just be honest with y'all, it's the same damn speakers in this one as it is in the M15. I don't give a shit what no other reviewer tell you. I have them both side by side, and I've played them both side by side. They sound exactly the same. In fact, the M17 sounds a little bit more hollow, probably because there's more space in here than on the M15, where it sounds a little bit more upfront. Right? It is what it is. It is loud. It is clear. But it's the exact same speakers on the M15. And again, this is a missed opportunity for you to spend the extra money to get the M17 if they put better speakers in here with more bass. If Apple can do it in that thin ass computer, and I'm not swinging on Apple's nuts, but everybody knows the MacBook Pro, especially the 16-inch, their speakers are the best in the business. If you say they're not the best in the business, you're just a hater. You're just a hater. I got it here. I'll do a comparison if you want me to, but there's no competition. I'll blow this shit clean out my window, right? But I think it was a missed opportunity to separate this from the M15 other than the size, right? You could have put more ports on here, and you could have put better speakers in here, but to make people want the M17 instead of saying, well, do I want a big screen or a smaller screen? Oh, I'll take the smaller screen, so they buy the M15, right? Give me good speakers. If Apple did it, and to be honest with you, my MacBook Pro was actually cheaper than this one. But I'm not, and I put it like this. I'm not saying at the start of war or anything. Everybody knows PC, Apple, they go back and forth. I love them both. I love them all. I love technology and all. So please don't be hitting me up in the comments talking about, well, Apple does this and Apple does that, and they just want your money. Everybody wants your money. Plain and simple. Dell wants your money. MSI wants your money. Razer wants your money. PlayStation wants your money. Microsoft wants your money. Everybody wants your money. So don't come with that. Apple just greedy. Everybody's greedy. They ain't taking your money. They're going out of business. Anyway, to end this off, they could have done better with the speakers. That's why it's a like and not a love, because it is louder than them shitty ass GE66 speakers that they had a chance to make better in this year, but didn't, as you've seen in my review. Anyway, that was my like number 4. Now on to my dislikes, or my unfortunates. Dislike number 1, and I've already mentioned it, again, the missed opportunity with the ports, right? Give me an extra USB-C, give me an extra USB-A in the rear, and get rid of that shitty ass graphics amplifier port. And again, if don't get in your feelings if you spent your money on it, but I would never spend my money on no shit like that when I just paid money to get the 3070, or if somebody else got the 3080 in their laptop, but it was a missed opportunity here, right? Dislike number 2, the color selection. And I said it before. Why, Dell? Get your shit together. Get your shit together. I love the gray. I like the white. I would have liked to have not only a different size this year, but a different color to make me feel like I got something new. I do, but not all the way feel like I got something new. And another thing I beat up on, not necessarily beat up on, last year with the M15 is the white keys. I can take this being white. I can take the trackpad being white, this shit being white, the top being white, because I don't necessarily have to touch those all over the place. The keys, on the other hand, I have to touch all the time. So why the fuck are they white? Right? Around the screen is black. It would have created nice contrast to have this black or dark gray. I don't give a damn. Take the fucking dark gray keys off of the dark side of the moon color that you're not using on this one anyway, and put it in this keyboard to make it look a little bit more, a little bit more Alienware like. Look at the mouse. They did the same thing with the mouse, right? Look at the contrast. I'm not saying this shit looks shitty. I love the way it looks, and I would have liked my computer to match it. I digress. Dislike number 3 is not really a dislike, right? It's just an update to a dislike from the M15, and that's the piano black that was in the top rim right here. So it was right here at the top. This year, it's matte black. So I don't know whether it's matte black to match the Mac screen, but I like it because now I don't have to worry about fingerprints being up here. And one quick tip, if you do get this computer, when you close it, make sure you hold it when you close it all the way down, because if you let it go, it's going to fucking slam kind of hard, right? And as you can see, there's really not much to protect it. And you don't want to fuck up your screen or your camera by letting it slam, because this screen right here is heavy as shit. Compared to the M15. So just be mindful of that when you're closing. So you don't have to worry about fingerprints on there. The only piano black is in places that you won't touch, and as you can see, it's around the inside of the screen and at the bottom, and where your Tobii Eye Tracking software is. But that's about it. That's how it should have been with the M15, but unfortunately, they put that shit all over the place. That's like putting this shit on the bottom of your mouse. That would make no sense when your fucking palms are sitting there and the shit looks shitty, like you've been eating chicken every fucking day of the week when you haven't. Anyway, on to my dislike number 4 is the RAM and Wi-Fi is still soldered to the board. I get it. They want to keep it slim and trim. I understand, but it can get folks a little bit concerned, and kind of, if you're one of those war rewards, right, it kind of forces you to get the 1-year accidental protection plan or the extended warranty on these, because you're concerned about the Wi-Fi 6 card or the RAM going bad. Like I said, I've had my MacBook for eons. I've had this one for months. I haven't touched the RAM in my older GE66 when I had that. So it's very rare that those things go bad. I probably just jinxed myself, so I'm going to knock on wood. But at the same time, they don't give you the option to upgrade. So when you're buying these, they get a little, like Apple, they get a little bit more cash out you when you say, well, I can get 16, but let me pay this extra 100 or so bucks to get this 32. That way I'll kind of future-proof myself. That sucks that they do that, but they're only doing it, I want to say they're doing it just to keep this laptop slim and trim. And also, force you in the corner that if you do want to upgrade your RAM, your Wi-Fi 6 card, your graphics card, your processor, they got that expensive ass fucking the Area 51. That nah, fam, nah, too much fucking money. And my final dislike is shipping. And I spoke about it before. It did come fast. Don't get me wrong. And normally when things come fast, I think it's less likely that something happens to the package. And I think that's where Dell and Alienware gamble, because as you've seen in the unboxing, it was just the computer box wrapped in a thick brown paper / box, and that's it. No other protection. So it wasn't like when I got my MSI where it was the MSI box inside of a box that had some padding in there. It was just the computer. And as soon as you open, the only thing that was holding the box closed is the handle. As soon as you push the handle in, as you've seen in the unboxing, boom, it was computer. No tape, no nothing. Just computer, power adapter, little bitty ass business card of instructions, and little bitty ass, just a little bit bigger than business card, smaller than postal card, warranty, and instructions, startup instructions. That's about it. For all this money in this motherfucker, hey, give me something. Give me something else with it. But anyway, shipping was a concern. So if you are concerned, I'm 3 for 3, because actually I had an M15 that was Dark Side of the Moon that I ordered online, that I got customized. That got shipped here, no issues with it. This M15 got shipped here, no issues with it. This M17 got here, no issues with it. But for all intents and purposes, if you're worried, you don't. But just in case, just to let you know that it does come like that. It's just, it looks like UPS pulled it out the box for me when I picked it up. And to be honest with you, it says exactly what it is on the box. So if they drop the shit off on your porch, which signature is required, but if they drop that shit off on your porch because they're not paying attention, somebody will pass, see that Alienware fucking symbol on that, grab it by the handle that's sticking out, and walk away with your shit. So just be mindful of that. I always prefer to have mine held at the UPS station. If signature is not required, you may want to do that too. And that is my final dislike. Now on to my concerns. Now, when I say concerns, they're not necessarily my concerns now, but they could be your concerns. So I'm just talking about things that you could be concerned about, and I'll try to speak on that. And if you have any other concerns that you may have, just hit me in the comments and I'll answer your questions to the best of my ability. But concern, or what could be a concern number one, is the customer service. Now, I've had nothing but good experiences with Dell's customer service, to be honest with you. Whether it's asking about the status of an order, or getting an RMA or in a return label for an order that I wanted to send back to them, because you do get 30 days to send this back if you don't like it, or giving me a discount because I wanted to return it in order to keep it, or in order for me to not return it. And again, they'll offer it to you, right? Hey, if you keep it, I'll give you $100. I'll give you a 10% back, or whatever. I used that a couple times and it actually worked. I don't know if everybody caught on, if they caught on to it, but it seems easy to get a discount from Dell, to be honest with you. But at any rate, the customer service, since I've been dealing with them, they always follow up, and you always get a transcript email right after it if you want it, with a case number attached to it, just in case you need to call back about it for an update about a case, and and they have something to reference it by. So I've had no trouble. Now, again, your results may vary from mine. So, I know you'll have some people that probably had a bad experience with Dell because they got a shitty computer, or they didn't get the discount they wanted, and they'll be in the comments. But that's just your one complaint, and I'm giving you my one praise. Right? Everybody has it. That's why there's, you can go online and see reviews of all these products, because some people get some good products, and then some people get some not good versions of the same product, and then they want to vent. But what I've learned, that most people that do reviews these days, or at least back in the day, are the ones that have something bad to say. Now, I think they're good, but I'm not going to go online and brag about it. But I kind of am online bragging about it, right? Anyway, on to what could be a concern number 2, and that's reliability. Now, the cost of extended warranty and accident insurance is too damn high, if you ask me. I would get it through a third party, but if you feel comfortable, get it directly through Dell, right? It might be a little bit easier, or probably will be a little bit easier. And if you buy this, when it finally comes to Best Buy, you probably won't be able to get the version with the 4K screen. But if that's not your thing, you'll get the one with the 300 hertz screen, or I think there's a 360 hertz model. You'll be able to probably save a couple dollars by getting Best Buy Geek Squad warranty where it's easy. You just walk in there and fucking say my laptop's broke. They'll look at it, probably try to fix it, and if they can't fix it, they'll give you a credit. I haven't done that with a laptop yet, but I have done it with a few items that I've bought, like headphones, and they don't even much want to put the fucking headphones in their ear. They just immediately tell you, go get the same set, or we'll give you credit to go towards another set of headphones. But reliability, I'm not concerned about. I could be concerned with the RAM. I could be concerned with the Wi-Fi card. The M17, even though I've had it for just about 6 months, I haven't had any issues with it. I haven't had any issues with this just yet, since I've been stress testing it, and we'll talk about that later. But at any rate, if reliability is a concern for you, it's valid. Everybody's concerns are valid, but I can tell you right now, I'm not worried about it. What could be a concern number 3, and it's the white color. And I said it in my last review of the M15, right? I get the white here, and I get the white here, and I get the white on the lid, but white on the keys, I just don't agree with, And at any rate, if you keep this thing for a number of years, from it getting heated up for an extended period of time and then cooling off, this white's going to yellow out at some point. I don't give a shit what kind of coating they put on there. It's going to yellow out, either from being old as fuck, or number 2, from it heating up and then cooling down. So it's going to get to that point. Now, I don't expect to keep this long enough to even see that, but because of obviously, since I got this channel, you guys give me an excuse to have a high rate of turnover when I'm getting products, and I love it. But at any rate, I don't get paid for this shit. This is my own money going in here. Call me crazy, but I like doing this shit for some strange reason. But I appreciate y'all watching. But at the end of the day, my concern is with the white. And again, I wish they didn't have the white, or white was a limited option and all of them came in Dark Side of the Moon. But that's just me. What could be a concern number 3? And everybody asks me about this shit, and I always say I really don't give a shit about it, and that's battery life. It's on battery life right now, and it's been on battery for over an hour now, to be honest with you, while I'm filming this. And right now it says 81% remaining and 3 hours and 22 minutes remaining. So looking at that, I'll probably get a good 4 hours of juice out of it if I don't do anything crazy with it from now. But I haven't been doing anything with it now, so it could be a little bit less. But I don't give a shit about battery life. It's a gaming computer. If this was a Dell XPS, which I'm doing, word processing on and just checking my email and shit, I would be concerned with battery life, because I know it's small, and especially if you get to 13-inch, it's small and I'm always on the go. But I'm not pulling this shit out in no Starbucks. Not a 17-inch fucking laptop in Starbucks to type up an email or to game. Never. Where's the fucking plug? I need to get juice. 90% of my time I'm plugged in. So I'm not cussing anybody out that's concerned about battery life, but I'm not going to test this thing on battery life. That's about as much as you're going to get, because I'm 95% of the time, with the exception of doing this review, I'm plugged into the wall. And if I take this anywhere, I'm gonna travel with it in my backpack, and when I get to where I'm going, I'm gonna pull it out and find the first outlet. That's just my thing. Your thing may be different. And last but not least, concerned, and I said I was going to bring this back up earlier, is the screen quality, right? And I'll show a couple pictures while I'm talking, so hopefully you'll be able to see it, and I don't forget to actually put it in the video. But 2 things with this screen, since it's an LCD display, right? LCD LED display, IPS glow and backlight bleed. Now, as you can see, there's some IPS glow in the lower right and left hand side of the screen, along with backlight bleed at the top and right side and the bottom right of the screen. This is going to vary from unit to unit, and for a split second, I thought about returning this because of that. But the pictures show it way worse than what it actually looks in person, right? If I pull up a black screen right now, and I think if I go to backlight bleed, here it is, and I'm in broad daylight, right? It looks fucking deep black right now. Right, I have no problems with it. But when the lights go out, you can see the backlight bleed here, 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 and at the bottom. But most of the games I play are not dark. So I thought about it for a minute, and I'm like, well, let me look at the way I use this thing. I play a colorful game like Tomb Raider, and I play a colorful game like Fortnite, and I play my son will play a colorful game like Minecraft. It's never really, really dark. So would I ever see the backlight bleed, or would I ever see the IPS glow? Probably not. But I got 30 days to continue to use this to see if it gets worse. So, yes, In comparison, now let me pull this up. In comparison, let me show you what the MSI GE66 screen looks like, right? Now, again, like I said before, on the M17, the pic looks way worse than what it is. So take what you see with a grain of salt, but I'm telling you, in person, you can barely see it. You really have to look for it. But look at the GE66 screen in comparison. MSI does a phenomenal job in manufacturing their screens, as every MSI laptop I've had, which includes 3 GE66s and a GS66 from last year, all had one tiny spot where there was backlight bleed. It was either in the lower right hand corner or the lower left hand corner. That's it. So Dell, if they can do it, why the fuck you can't do it? You're a bigger company with, you know, with a bigger line of computers. Tweak some shit to get this shit up to par, because this is, some folks will not like that, right? And like I said, I'm gonna say it again, the picture makes it look way worse than what it actually is, right? But I'm glad the picture does do that, because it lets you see what you can't see, so to speak. Anyway, that's it for my concerns. Now on to the part that you're probably concerned about or most excited about, is the performance. And I'm gonna put up a chart on the screen some fucking where so you guys can see, and I'm not gonna run any tests here, but I'm only doing 2 tests this time, and for y'all, I'm breaking one of my rules that I mentioned earlier, right? So instead of buying, because sometimes I get folks to comment and say, hey, can you test this game? Can you test that game? Look, I don't have the funds to buy all of these games that I'm only going to use one time just to test, right? So I'm not going to do that, right? But if you recommend a game that I will probably play, I'll probably buy that game and then test it, to be honest with you. But in order to even the field, especially with these 3 computers right here, I went ahead and downloaded 3D Mark for a reference. And then I also tested using Shadow of the Tomb Raider in all 3 for actual real life performance. So you got 3D Mark as a benchmark, and then actual performance, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which in my opinion pushes these computers, especially with the ray tracing and everything, to their limits, to be honest with you. These motherfuckers be huffing and puffing going through those benchmarks multiple times, as I've ran them like 8 times in a row on each of these computers. So you'll be surprised what I found out. So let me try to keep this as simple as possible, because I had to learn how to use 3D Mark, and it took me a while to get used to it and understand. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but I'm just going to give you the scores and what those scores compare to. So I'm going to bring it up on the screen right now. So I tested using Port Royal, a test called Port Royal, which actually tests the RTX performance, and the results are a estimation of what a game will play at 1440p. And if you look here, the actual score for the M17 was 6361, the M15 was 4917, and surprisingly, the GE66 was 2905. Now, using 3D Marks, whatever they use to calculate what it would be when you're playing a game, what they're saying is if you play Battlefield 5 on the M17, with that score, you'll get 100 plus frames per second. On the M15, you'll get 80 frames per second, or 80 plus frames per second. And then on the GE66, and this is the 2021 version, 55 frames per second. And just to make sure I was understanding what I was looking at and making sure that it wasn't a glitch in the system, I ran the test multiple times on the GE66. Right, this has a 3070, this has a 3070, but this has a 2070 Super, but yet it's killing this one, right? And I'm gonna do more testing and probably do another video to let y'all, to make a determination, but I think I know what it is. Now, the next test I ran in 3D Mark was Time Spy, right? And that test, and I mainly did it for these 2, right? The M15 and M17, it would test 4K performance. And it did the same thing. It gave me an estimation of what it would be if I played Battlefield 5 at 1440p. But it pushed all 3 laptops to the limit. The M17 scored a 5049. The M15 scored a 3784. And the GE66, once again, pulling up the rear, 2278. Shocking, right? It's confusing to me. This is the newer laptop. This is the one with the better chip in it, right? So if I was playing Battlefield 5 at 1440p on the M17, 105 frames per second. On the M15, 80 frames per second. But again, on the GE66, 45 frames per second. So I wanted the GE66 to try to redeem itself, and I tested Shadow of the Tomb Raider and ran a benchmark multiple times on all three. I tested it with the RTX on and RTX off at ultra settings for all three. So I kept it even across the field. And I did two tests. I ran it at 4K, and then I ran it at 1536p instead of 1440p because I wanted that extra oomph and clarity since these screens are so dense. Of course, on the GE66, I could only run it at 1080p. And here are my results of real world compared to 3D Mark. On the M17 at 4K with RTX on, 39 frames per second average, RTX off, 54 frames per second average. At 1536p, RTX on, 58 frames per second, RTX off, 60 frames per second. The temps on this one, see the CPU maxed out at 85 degrees and the GPU maxed out at 65 degrees. And that's the M17. On the M15 at 4K, RTX on, 32 frames per second, RTX off, 45 frames per second. At 1536p, RTX on, 51 frames per second, RTX off, 59 frames per second. So if you're doing the comparison between these two, really with RTX on, it's a 7 frames per second difference, and RTX off is around a 10 frames per second difference, right? But when you drop it down to 1536, they're all capping out at 60 frames per second. So those cards, the 2070 Super and the 3070 are doing about the same. And of course, the screen's limitation is 60 frames per second. But the big difference here is the temps in the M15. It's smaller, probably has, the cooling is probably better or it is better in the M17, but in the M15, the CPU was capping off at 100 degrees and the GPU was maxing out at 71 degrees, right? And it took some time for it to of course, throttle itself and then bring it back down. But they were maxing out. Now, for the GE66, I can only do 1080p, obviously. And we know that, the max it can go is 240 hertz. So at 1080p with RTX on, 43 frames per second. With RTX off, 63 frames per second. Now this is a computer that can max out at 240 frames per second. So keep that in mind. So temps, on the other hand, advantage GE66, where the CPU maxed out at 75 degrees and the GPU maxed out at 60 degrees. I know I'm getting a little bit too technical normally, but I felt that you guys wanted to see the actual performance or get a sample of the actual performance between the three. So I'm sorry for getting too technical. It is what it is, but I just thought I'd get that out because the more I started doing it, or the more I did it, the more I was really getting interested in, did I waste my fucking money by buying this, or would I just be satisfied with the M15? Now, looking at these results and not getting all the way into the technical details, I will add that the GE66 does have the 10th gen Intel 10750H 6-core, while the others, the M17 has a 10870, and then the M15 has a 10875 8-core processors. With that being said, and looking at the performance difference, I advise you to look at the specs of the chips before buying, because even though you do have an RTX 3070, it can be hampered by a lesser chip, right, with less cores, depending on the game and of course what you're doing with it or what you're using it for. But after browsing on Best Buy, it seems that the trend is all of the cheaper laptops with 3060 and 3070 chips in it do in fact have the 10750H. So keep that in mind. It has a 6-core processor. And we already seen the results of having an 8-core processor and a 6-core processor. Just on my little test, right? Again, I advise when you guys when you guys are trying to select a new computer to get, don't just look at this review. Look at everybody's fucking review and then make your decision based on what you think, right? Everybody has a mind of their own. Now, I know somebody already asked me in one of my other videos, and especially in my unboxing, I know the R3s are on massive sale right now. But in my opinion, there's a reason for that. And after looking at Dell's website, most of them that are on sale and most of them that are in the refurbished shop are the ones that have the 10750H 6-core processor. But at that price, starting at $1,300, it's so tempting. I'm telling you, because you get pretty much the same fucking computer aesthetically but the innards are different. And if you're not playing anything, any AAA titles that's going to push it to the limit, you can get away with paying $1,300 for a nice looking Alienware computer that looks exactly like this year's model. So in my opinion, especially in the Dell's refurbished shop, the displays are trash because they're the 144 hertz one. I know they're the ones with the G-Sync, and they're at 72% NTSC color gamut. I don't know about you, but in my opinion, and looking at these two, once you go 100% Adobe RGB, there ain't no going back. I look at this motherfucker and it looks like it's been washed 1,000 times in the washing machine when I compare it to these two, right? There are some in the refurbished shop that do have the UHD and the 2080 Super, which is the same price as this one, right? This one right now. So it kind of makes me think, but then again, I'm kind of happy with future-proofing myself by having a faster RAM and a more updated card that's designed to, work better when dealing with RTX or ray tracing. The only other good thing about buying refurbished is, one, it's already built and it's already in the state, so the shipping is faster. So with that being said, that's all I have to say about that. Any questions, hit me in the comments. But I'm not going to tell you what to buy. I'm only going to give you and tell you what I would buy, not what you should buy. In conclusion, and I know it's been long, my bad. So looking at everything covered, is this a good buy? And I have to give this a strong yes, right? It may be because of the screen size or the number pad, but what happens, and the way I look at it, is you took all of the goodness out of the M15 and threw it into the M17, and you added the 3070 chip, and you added a nice, even though it has, albeit some flaws, a nice 4K screen that's just as good as the OLED screen because it has a 100% Adobe RGB, but this one is actually whiter and brighter than the OLED screen. And you only see that when you look at them side by side. And I'll do that maybe in another video when I compare the two. But the OLED does look dingy and bluish compared to when you're looking at this on the LCD screen. But if you have TVs, it's the same with TVs, right? You don't notice it until you have them both in front of your face though. So this is a definite buy, but as with anything else, you got to get it for the right price. I'm not paying full price for this shit. I got 10% off on it because they gave me a discount. So it was over $3,000 at one point, but after discounts, it knocked it, and after taxes, it knocked it down to $2,700 or some change. I expect you to get it for the same price. So please chat or call Dell to try to get them to trim off some of the fat to get it into a good price range. And if they don't help, fucking hang up or close out the chat and go right back in there and try to get another customer service rep to see if they'll help you. And keep doing that until somebody do, right? You'll look up at some point. Anyway, that's all I got. Sorry, not sorry for the long review. I know some folks like long reviews. Maybe I'll try to put in some timestamps in here to make it easier. But I'm trying to just find a median to try to get as much information in these videos as possible so you can make an educated decision on what you want to get or if you like this product. So I'm trying to balance that out. But if I didn't cover anything or if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments and I'll be back to you as soon as possible. Once again, thanks for tuning in. This is DT 2.0. Thanks for watching. Peace.